Hello, and welcome to Connecting Tucson with Jaime Overturf, broadcasting from the Tucson Business Channel, a division of Mark Bishop Media, situated in the Stewart Title corporate offices on Broadway in Tucson, Arizona. Connecting Tucson is all about connecting our community, our local businesses, organizations, and other community incentives to help grow and thrive in our local community today. Today, we are talking with Lisa Kindle, the executive director and artist of the Solquest Retreat. Lisa grew up in Minnesota and has her bachelor's degree in fine arts, German, and music from Augsburg University. She also studied at Heidelberg University in Germany. You've traveled quite a bit. I think I pronounced those correct, yes? Or close? Close. Oh, geez. I knew I was going to mess it up. I even asked her. For the past 20 years, she's been running a graphic design studios that serves both small businesses and corporate clients, but has held many different positions throughout her career, from a paper courier to a cellist to an entrepreneur and everything in between. In 2022, she received her certification in wellness counseling from Cornell University, as well as certifications as a therapeutic art life coach, and moved in the heat of the summer with her husband and cat Ted. One thing that stuck with Lisa throughout all of her journey is that as a child, her mom and all of the women in her neighborhood taught her the value of hard work and the belief that anything was possible. And that has led her to opening up Solquest Retreat and helping so many others and in their paths today as well. Thank you so much for coming on Connecting Tucson. I can't wait to dive into this journey that is Lisa. It's just, the amount of things that you've done just boggles my mind. So I'm excited. So I know I gave kind of a brief description. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of your background, and then we'll dive into Solquest and how that started.
Well, like you said, we got here in Tucson last summer, right about this time. It was about July 20th. I flew into Tucson.
Oh, in July.
In July, yep, right before the monsoons. So I've been through the monsoon last summer, and we moved into a Solquest Retreat first week of September. We proceeded to build the Labyrinth and all those things. So we sold everything and moved to Tucson.
All right. So in the past, you've kind of had more of that art background and cellist. So how does that help with what you're doing right now with Solquest? How does that kind of tie in and plan?
My passion comes from my fine arts background and my upbringing. I was a cellist in several orchestras, Minnesota Youth Symphony, shout out. And Augsburg College was there on scholarship both for art and music. Cello being my passion and art. And at the time when I graduated, decided to go into the field of graphic design rather than competing as a cellist on the professional stage. But I have played on some great stages, Ordway Music Theater, Orchestra Hall, played in front of Lincoln Center. Just really had a really blessed life that way. I've actually met Yo-Yo Ma more than one time and attended a master class. So I've done a lot of things. I have artwork in the United Nations. I've sold professional pieces of artwork. And now here in Tucson, I have my own professional art gallery with art all the way from Canada to New York, Chicago, Denver, and other areas.
And again, like I said, amazing. Everything that you've done, it's just, you're so well accomplished and well-rounded. It's amazing to see everything. So how did Solquest Retreat come about, and what made you want to open up Solquest? Can you give us the story behind that?
Well, so over the years, I think my mom and I talked about opening our own bed and breakfast off and on. It was just a dream that we had. And we grew up in a house in Anoka, Minnesota. That was turn of the century. We had maids' quarters in the attic and a fireplace, and it was haunted. And it was a historic building, a historic home on a very historic street in our town. And so we talked about that a long time. And so that's always in the back of my mind. And we like to cook, and she ran a restaurant, and I cooked as part of my way through college. And we came here in Tucson, March of 2022. My husband was looking for a new job, and we decided to open our minds to maybe relocating. We took a little side trip over to the west side of Tucson in the West Saguaro Park.
Oh, okay.
And just felt this peacefulness about it, and something inside of me started to think, oh, boy, would this be great to have some kind of facility here. The next day we went to Sanctuary Cove on the west side and we walked the Labyrinth. And as you'll hear more about it in our talk, I'm sure, the Labyrinth is a big part of our lives. We were married in 2019 in a Labyrinth in Maple Grove, Minnesota. And so we seek out labyrinths wherever we go because it's a big symbol of our journey together before and after our marriage. And so we walked the Labyrinth there, and as we left there, just walking out of the Labyrinth, we looked at each other and he goes, "What?" And I said, "Well, I think we're meant to come here and open an art and wellness center." And that's where it began. He did not have a job or a job offer when we left Tucson last spring. We went home back to Minnesota with a fire to make this art center and the art and wellness center come to life. The place he's working now made him an offer within a month. Less than a month, he had the job he has today in Tucson.
Wow.
So we knew it was meant to be.
It's kismet. It was definitely meant to be. So what, and we're going to dive into some of those things like labyrinths and everything, but what is Solquest Retreat? Why don't you explain that for the listeners?
The ultimate goal of Solquest is for people to find a place of peace in the desert. They can come there, and our hope is that they feel refreshed. Our mission is to provide a place of peace and transformation. The vision is transform and find wholeness through color, art, and creativity.
Okay. So color, art, and creativity, that's kind of all accompanying of what you do. What are some of the services and programs that you offer at Solquest?
Well, over the last 2 years, as I mentioned to you before, we were talking, I had my own podcast called the Global Art Cafe. And through that time and during the pandemic, I ran a weekly meeting. We talked about color and creativity and entrepreneurship. And during that time, I developed something called the Color Affirmation Deck. It first came out, it was called I Am Colorfully Made. And over the last 2 years, I've developed it into now what's called the Color Affirmation Deck and a Color Affirmation Method, which is actually used by several psychologists who are licensed in Minnesota, one in Tucson here, and using it with their clients. And that's really my mission, is to get my work into the hands of licensed professionals, life coaches, and beyond. And it's a combination of art and color therapy and psychology. And it's really a tool to transform people's minds and hearts to find wholeness in their life.
Okay. I'm definitely going to dig more into that because that just sounds like it has so much more than what you just put it into a nutshell. So, but before we get going too deep into that, many of my listeners might not know what a labyrinth is, or when I think labyrinth, when I first started doing things, I'm thinking, like those big mazes that you have to walk into. You can't see anything above anything. I did a drove of research, and it's actually something quite different. So can you explain what is a labyrinth and what is its purpose and how it can be used?
Yes. The very basic difference between a maze and a labyrinth is the maze has many ways in and many ways out. And so if anybody's done a corn maze or any of these other kind of mazes, it can be pretty frustrating because you can get lost. With a labyrinth, you can walk over one of the circuits, as they call them, but you can always find your way out because it's the same way in and the same way out. Only one way in to the center and one way out. Even if you misstep, the beauty of that is it's a great analogy for life because a lot of times we do misstep. And we talk about this in my coaching, or you come out to do a labyrinth walk, and it's okay. You can take a misstep because you can always get back the same way you came in. It's just a little bit out of the way. It's not a mistake. It's just a little bump in the road.
Okay. So when you're saying it's one way in and one way out, you also encompass this through meditation and some other things. How does all of that, I guess, tie together?
Well, the meditation is a way for you to connect with yourself. So whatever your belief system is, as you walk into the center of the labyrinth, it's a way for you to release some of your cares. And so it does tie into finding wholeness. A lot of people, they might need to forgive someone in their life. They might have a challenge or a habit or an addiction, something that's happened in their life. And I can tell you many stories, and they're all very different as different as each person, when they walk out of that labyrinth, something has left that needed to go. Something has released, or they've said a prayer and it's a reminder of something that they've been praying about. Or I've had people bring pictures of their family and offer them up in the middle and come out, and they told me stories I never could have imagined about their lives. It's just a beautiful experience, and it's different for everyone that walks it.
It sounds pretty emotionally and spiritually powerful. And when I was looking at it, most of the labyrinths that I saw or that I've actually been a part of, I've done them a couple of times, are like a circular and stone type, and it's almost like a vortex when you look at it that way. So when you get to the center of the labyrinth, that's where you are pausing to reflect.
Yes.
Now, as part of your labyrinth that you offer, I think you said you offered a couple of different types, like a guided labyrinth or a self. What's the difference between those, and why would somebody want a guided labyrinth for that?
I guess the guided labyrinth tour is really more of the conversation we're having. They're going to come out, they're going to meet with me, and I'm going to tell them a little bit about the history of what the labyrinth is and how they can walk it in different ways and different tools that we have to use to walk it that I didn't know about, frankly, until I got here and I met with an actual Veritas certified facilitator in labyrinths and some sound healers. I've learned a lot of different tools that can enhance your walk. And so when you come out and work with me, I can give you those options, and it can really elevate your experience.
Okay. Could you give us an example of maybe one of the tools or something that just recently with one of the people that came to visit?
Sure. One of the very simple things that we offer is we've made some little copper bells. And you're like, what's that? So they can take it with them, and we ask people not to ring them as they walk the circuit, but as they get to the place where they change and they turn, is you take a moment to pause and you ring that bell. And what that does in that meditation is makes you pause and you recenter yourself and you turn, like maybe you repeat whatever mantra you're saying or an affirmation or that thing you're trying to release. You say, I release this. And then you continue, and then you get to the next turn and you stop, you ring the bell again, take a moment, and continue. So it really is a time for reflection.
Okay, and I think I read somewhere where there's a release and replace ceremony.
Yes.
Is that something kind of like we were touching on, or can you explain that? What is a release? And this is specifically with the labyrinth as well, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I can do it without the labyrinth. I mean, we can do it as a strictly therapeutic art activity. But I love to combine it with the labyrinth because you have that interaction and engagement with the labyrinth, because there's nothing you talked about, I'm really interested in the vortex. Mm-hmm. Well, engaging with the land. This land here has a different energy than land anywhere else that I've been. And when you interact with it, it makes a different experience. So the release and replace, I've created a therapeutic art exercise where people actually will trace their hand and they'll write in or draw things in that release hand that they want to let go of, and they'll take it with them through the labyrinth. And there's a couple different ceremonies that I offer. One is with fire and one is with water.
Don't give Jaime fire. Sorry.
I manage that. I'll make sure that everybody's okay. And so they're a little bit different. But so you walk in with your release activity page, and then the replace sheet will be, because when you release, you're emptying yourself of this thing that you've been carrying. And so when you release that in the center of the labyrinth, you come out and you want to have something positive to fill that hole that you've made. That place that you've emptied needs something there, because sometimes people are grieving. There's people grieving deeply and they let part of that go. There's an emptiness. And so that replace sheet is really important, and that's what you keep. So either we'll burn it in the fire, or else we can create something and it goes into water. And there's a very beautiful ceremony that I'm planning to do soon where people will leave it in the water in the center of the labyrinth, and they'll get to take a little citrine stone home with them.
That's interesting. And is that something that you do as a group normally, or?
I would love to have a group come out and do that, but I will do it individually. I do prefer like a group of 5 to 10.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So, I had noticed on the website that sometimes like remote sessions, or do they have to come to you? How does that work if they want to interact with Solquest?
Well, with the Labyrinth, obviously it's better to come in person.
Right.
It's pretty hard to like remotely
right.
offer that. I do plan to do some videos so they can like follow it. We have in the last week been putting more and more items in our shop on the website. Okay. We actually just sold out of our wooden finger labyrinths in the design of our labyrinth.
Wow.
And we have some other items, a postcard with 3 different meditations on it to do as a finger labyrinth. But yes, to answer your question, I do Zoom calls, remote sessions for a lot of these different things, whether it's art or coaching.
Okay. So you don't only have like the meditations and the labyrinths. What are some of the tangible items that you have from Solquest that somebody might be able to take back with them to like hold that inner peace or whatever that is that they're looking for, tranquility, release?
Yeah, so we have quite a few different things. Related to what I was talking about, the color affirmation deck, it's like a thread woven through our whole retreat center.
Okay.
So I have my color affirmation deck that's based on life path colors. There's 9 of those. So some of the tangible things is you learn what your life path color is, which I also offer mini life path color sessions, groups and individuals. That's something that's remote or in person. You could take home a stone, like I have here, they can't see it, but a stone and gemstone in all the different colors. So whether it's amethyst, rose quartz, tiger eye. So those are fun.
You can't see it, but I've got my tiger eye on here too.
We've got things you can't see. So of course there's my deck. There's the stones in all the colors. There's artwork from around the country and Canada, like I said, and I've purposely, intentionally asked for them to give me pieces in the life path colors. Beautiful artwork. That's on the website as well. There's postcards, stickers, activity sheets they can purchase. There's a whole set of jewelry made by a woman in California, and it's based on the life path colors.
Oh, wow.
So you can make your own, it's a silk dyed wrap that goes around your wrist, or you can wear it as a necklace, and then she has all kinds of different things you can choose from, whether it's turquoise or a carnelian stone that you can hang on it. I have a woman in Boulder, Colorado, who makes alcohol ink dyed silk scarves, and they can be customized to your color or whatever you want. I have one of those in the studio right now. I have earrings in all different kinds. I'll give a shout out to Lisa Lottie's Trinkets in Maple Grove, Minnesota. She's given me several pieces in many of the colors. For example, there's a beautiful necklace made with yellow jade. Ooh. It's a real nice wraparound, double wrap, long necklace with gold accents. It's beautiful.
Oh, wow.
I've got some rose quartz earrings with gold, rose gold accents. So we have some very nice pieces.
And are those found on the website as well, or are those things that they'd have to come out?
I do have them on the website, and I'm working on it myself. So
it's okay.
We've had a little bit of a delay with some health issues, but I plan to get all the artists' work into the shop very soon.
Okay, beautiful. Now, we've talked about it, and I want to kind of dive more into that. That is the color affirmation method.
Yes.
So what is the color affirmation method?
Oh, well, it's a lot. Like you said, you hit the nail on the head. There's a lot that goes into it. But let's just, in a nutshell, it's talking about life path colors. It's being very positive. It's coming up with mantras and affirmations you can use in your own personal life. So the method is really about life coaching.
Okay.
And because of my background with Cornell and wellness counseling, I bring in the wellness aspect. So there is something I call the wholeness wheel, which happens to be 9 letters. So it stands for all the different things that bring you balance in your life, and I coordinate it with color. There's always creativity and art in my world.
Oh, yes.
So I really believe everyone can be creative, and that's part of my program. So if you're looking to develop yourself, whether it's business, I have obviously a long business background, so somebody's working in their business and they need some coaching, accountability. I'm great about accountability, and I love to bring art in there. If they're open to it, we will create an affirmation deck for them that helps them on their journey, whether it's personal or business.
So Excellent. You talked about there are 9 life colors. What are they, and do they have a specific meaning? And you don't have to answer all of them, but can you give us an example of,
Yes.
I think one of them is blue, and then there's something else. I can't remember. I'm so sorry. You're going to have to. Don't yell at me. But there are 9. There are 9 out there. Can you give us an example of 1 or 2 and what they are?
Yes. There are 9 life path colors, and you think of a rainbow. It's a little bit of a cross between a rainbow and chakras and all that, but number 1 is red. So if you're a number 1, it's all based on your birth date, and it's just really a fun way to explore your personality. I have people that I'll ask you, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite color?
Well, it's a toss-up between like a green and a blue, but I would probably say green.
So we can we'll find out what your color is, and you can tell your audience next time.
Okay, I love it. But we said green this time.
Okay, we think it's green. So we figure out what the color is, and then we talk about that. What do you think about that? Sometimes people hate it, but most of the time they're like, oh, that makes sense. And then we read about the characteristics. So red, passionate, usually they're leaders, they're strong, they're empowered people, and maybe they haven't been using that color in their life, and they're like, I used to really love that, or I'm adverse to it. And so that becomes the discussion.
I just like green because of the nature aspect to it. Love like the colors out there. Doesn't look as good on me, but I do like it. All right. So what can people, what can they expect when they come to Solquest? What are some things that they can expect, not just from you, but from Solquest Retreat?
Well, when they come to Solquest Retreat, they're going to see the Labyrinth right away. So that's right.
How large is it?
It's 40 feet.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's a 7-circuit labyrinth. It's based a classical Cretan design. The first labyrinth was discovered in 1200 BCE, so before Christ. And then when the Crusades came and the Christians started to adopt it as something in the church, it became part of a pilgrimage. Everyone's heard about like pilgrimages, especially with the Catholic Church and things like that. And so it became part of that spiritual journey. And there, like in California, there's over 480 labyrinths.
Are labyrinths just anywhere, or do they tend to, I guess, gravitate to certain like energy spots in like nature, or can you just create a labyrinth out of anything? How does that work?
Well, we created our labyrinth, so
right.
I think both. I think typically you'll find them at churches, wellness centers, even hospitals have used labyrinths because it is a wellness tool.
Wow, I didn't know about the hospitals or medical centers. So maybe you know or you don't. How do they use those as in the medical field or training? Is it more for...
It's for people that are visiting, I think,
or
patients.
That makes more sense. Yeah, no, still patients could do that.
Like somebody might go to the chapel to pray. They can also go walk a labyrinth.
Oh, see, I just had a light bulb moment there. So you obviously are online and people can reach you that way. How would someone go about scheduling with you with either, let's just say to schedule something with you? How would they're going to call you? Let's say, so for me, walk me through the process. I'm calling to say, hey, I'm very interested in what you have to offer. How would that process go to help guide me where maybe I don't know where I want to go, but maybe you can help guide? How does that work? I
would say in that case, from what we've talked about briefly, is I'd say, let's have a discovery call.
Okay.
And we'll talk for like 20 minutes and we'll figure out what it is you really want. And then if I need to take some time to put something together, that's my special sauce where I'll curate your experience because I want people to have a Solquest experience, and that's different for each person. So I have been starting to connect myself with several people in Tucson, and then of course what I offer. And so if someone wants to come out and have a certain experience, I can make that happen. Whether it's a cacao ceremony or a sound bath, or they want to have horse therapy plus labyrinth, maybe they want some art sessions, we'll figure it out. So you are not just a cookie cutter type retreat. No cookie cutter. I love that. So has there ever been something that somebody's asked for that you weren't able to, I guess, prepare for them? Or are you able to, given with enough time, say, okay, I'm coming out to Tucson.
I want to do horse therapy. I want to do a labyrinth. I want to do all of these other things. You might not be able to do it all in one day, I'm assuming. So how do you plan around that, and how does that work?
I'd figure it out. I'd figure it out.
Yeah, you're pretty good at that. So there was something else I was going to ask you for here, but I know we talked about this, and it's kind of important. It kind of got, I guess, put over. The mission of Solquest. You talked about finding your inner peace, but can you explain again, what is the mission of Solquest, and what is your mission specifically for others and Solquest?
I think my mission is for people, when they come, to really leave Solquest with a sense of peace in their heart, in their soul. And maybe there is some kind of transformation. And we had a family stay with us this past winter for a month. It was a couple with their 2 children, 8 and 12. And they were on a 6-month journey. And since they've left, it's been several months, obviously. They were here in January, February. And, actually February through March. And they were on the 6-month trip, and they were almost ready to turn back. And we offered our house to them, and we rented it for a certain fee, of course. Mm-hmm. But we're like, we'll make it work for you. And they came, and he says it's the pivotal part of his life on this journey. And walking a labyrinth was life-changing.
Wow.
He can't say enough about how life-changing this experience he had. They experienced a cacao ceremony. We had labyrinth walks. We did many, many different activities that I coordinated for them. We had the certified labyrinth facilitator come over and talk about the history of the labyrinth and how it connected with the church, and sat around the table. We celebrated their child's birthday and had dinner with them and sat with them. And she did her own affirmation deck, which you can see a video of their family's experience on their trip being in Tucson. You can also see a testimonial from the wife. She created a deck of her own cards based on my method. Their kids would wake up every day and work in their sketchbooks, because I said, one thing I would love to see you while you're at Solquest, this is what happens. When you're in my house, it's all about art and creativity. So I said, go to Walmart, buy a sketchbook, and draw something every day. And they did.
Oh, wow.
And it's transformational.
When you keep doing something like that for every day for a month, I obviously that's there. Now, you did touch on something. Do you have, because you said they stayed for a month and you offered up your home. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you can't, not everybody can fit in your home, but if somebody's trying to do a week or a 2-week trip, how does that fit in? And do you offer accommodations, or do you help them find accommodations to do that?
We do both. We actually have 2 rooms for short-term rental with the shared bath. So this family did stay in our home on this property. Beyond that, we will arrange for larger groups to stay at different locations.
Okay. Well, I hope you're enjoying the show right now. We're going to be right back.
And a very interesting show, as usual. And if you're just tuning in, you're listening to Connecting Tucson with Jaime Overturf. It's where she focuses on connecting our community, local businesses, and organizations to help our community grow and thrive. And as your local insurance professional for all insurance needs, I know that Jaime knows how important it is to make new and lasting connections in her own community. You never know how a connection will create a spark or pull you in a unique direction. So if you're in a small business, maybe you're a medium business owner, small business owner, doesn't matter, or involved in a community project and you'd like to be featured on this show, please feel free to give her a call. All her information is on the TucsonBusinessChannel.com. Just click on Connecting Tucson with Jaime. And Jaime would love to hear from you.
If you're just tuning in, you are listening to a very interesting and informative conversation with Lisa Kindle. But as your local insurance agents and professional for all of your insurance needs, I know how important it is to make new and lasting connections in your own community. So you never know how a connection will create a spark or pull you in that unique direction. If you are a small business owner involved in a community project or would like to be featured on the show, please feel free to give me a call. I specialize in home, auto, business, life, and any insurance option, or needs. All of my information is on the Tucson Business Channel. Just click the Connecting Tucson with Jaime, and I would love, love, love to hear from you. We're going to go ahead now and continue with Lisa Kindle, the Executive Director and Artist for Solquest Retreat. I'm so interested in some of your art. I cannot wait to see some of it. It seems like we are living in a world where we are just constantly on the go, go, go. We can't keep things down. We're always plugged in. We're always on our phones, any type of that. How can Solquest help bring some perspective and balance in our lives for that?
Well, I think just simply, we were talking briefly about our mission.
Yeah.
And I guess, even my husband's parents came to say, I don't think they'll listen to this, but we gave them a hard time because they're go, 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 and they pastor a church, and they're used to being the ones in charge. And when you come to Solquest, we're in charge. And what we mean is we're going to take care of you, and you're going to rest. We want to be that place of rest. It's hard for people to allow themselves to just rest. Artists or otherwise, especially women, I have a soft spot, being a single mom for many years. It gets to be tough out there, whether you're a single entrepreneur, solo entrepreneur, single mom, whatever. Been through a lot of hardships in my life, and this is my way of giving back. Come and stay at an affordable rate, and stay as long as you want, and hopefully you'll want to do art with me. But we really want...
Who wouldn't want to do art with you? I mean,
don't
you're
know.
a renowned artist. Go ahead.
Well, I don't know about renowned, but I'd like to be.
Yes.
Just really focused on whatever we can do to provide peace for that individual is our focus.
All right. Excellent. And why should somebody choose Solquest Retreat over some other retreats that you see out there? What makes Solquest so unique?
Well,
Besides
because
you.
we're awesome. They're going to get a lot of personal attention that they're not going to get anywhere else, especially in this growing stage that we're in. They're just not going to get more care than they get where we're at.
And you also do offer personalized options. You don't just go there and say, okay, come into us, here's the Labyrinth, it's X amount, go, okay, now you can go over there and you can do some art. You actually take the time and attend to them and really connect with them, especially if somebody's wanting to do something that might not be of the norm. For example, I'm going to probably mispronounce this as well, so don't laugh at me, but the cacao ceremony. What is that? Maybe people don't know what that is, and maybe they want or could find some purpose in that.
Well, when I moved here, I had never been to one. So I've now been to two. One was for a women's retreat we held in March, and we had 10 people attending. The other one we did with this family I was just talking about, and they were very hesitant. They're like, I don't know. It's just too weird. I don't know if I can do it. What is the cacao? And what is she going to do to me? And I'm like, no, she's really nice. It's going to be okay. Because I had built this relationship with this gal that comes in and works with us. And the husband was like, I didn't think he was going to do it. I'm like, can you just take pictures? You don't have to do it. I was like, it's okay. I'm not going to force you to do it, but I really feel like this could be a good experience. They had some things they wanted to work through, and she does a couple different ceremonies. So the ones that I've been through talk a lot about forgiveness. She also does some that are for people who have been through a trauma or grief. But we typically work on the forgiveness, and they center around abuela, so your grandmother, and then they use the rose as a symbol of how we're all imperfect with thorns, and but we're beautiful like the rose. And so she has a ceremony. She has her singing bowl and the candles, and we do it under the stars. And up in Vail, there are no lights. So you see the planets, you see all the stars. It's beautiful. We have a fire going, and she's singing. It's the most beautiful experience. And that was part of, as I was saying, again, this family, they had some things that they brought with them that were released in that ceremony. And he never once touched his phone. You're talking about unplugging. He was just full attention on this, and they were able to let go of things that they had brought with them. So, it's just another way for people to find some peace within themselves. And it's the purest form of cocoa. Like, you think of like a cup of hot chocolate, they would not like me saying that. It's not like the campfire, but it's kind of that extended version. Shh.
Ooh,
Don't tell them I said that.
but I do like hot chocolate.
Right. So this is Peruvian chocolate, and they have a whole ceremony where they go through and bless it and
It's
whatever they
definitely
do.
not hot chocolate, but
It's definitely not.
But it's the closest thing you can describe it to.
Yeah, and you want somebody that knows how to make good cacao. Like the person we have, she mixes it with oat milk and dates, and so it sweetens it pretty good. And they all have their different ways, but it's a great experience.
And again, it's something like that you wouldn't get at some of these other retreats that only have what they have there at the facility. They don't go out of their way to really try to help other people do those releases or really try to find the inner peace like you do. So I already kind of know the answer to this, but what do you like best about what you do?
I would say my biggest thrill that gets me really emotional is when I see someone taking what I've, given to them, tried to teach them, and find it touching their lives in some way. Like Anna, when she made her own affirmation deck and sent me the testimonial, it was just, I was crying a little, honestly.
I would, yeah, you basically, you made a connection with her and something that was so profound that she took action in it. And that says a lot to anybody that is thinking about coming to Solquest, which I think you should. I know we shared one success. Have you, what are some of your success stories or a good success story that you want to share from either the family or maybe another person that kind of sits and resigns with you?
As a visitor to Solquest?
Or any, like, what is something that has made a profound impact on you, either Solquest or a client coming to Solquest?
We've had so many great experiences. That's a tough question.
It's okay.
I think, just the overall experience from this family has been probably
Probably the biggest one.
probably the biggest highlight, although we've had many, many small ones.
Yeah, that's true. And the small ones are not trivial.
No, they're not.
Do you ever encounter any misconceptions about what Solquest is or what you do or provide?
Oh,
and if
yes.
so, what would those be?
I just had somebody come out yesterday who's a friend of ours, and they're like, what's the deal with the Labyrinth? Is it witchcraft? I said it.
Ooh.
So we're saying that. And the answer is no, absolutely not. It's not, and my deck is not tarot. I am very much of the light, and our belief system is there's one way in and one way out. It's not witchcraft. The Labyrinth, as I said, was adopted by the church and used in the church. Really, it is the person's belief when they enter what they make it. But that is not what we support. I just want to be really clear about that.
I've heard a lot of misconceptions
It's
when
very
it comes
much
to there,
no.
and people who don't understand it can sometimes. And I wanted to set that straight.
Thank
that
you.
That is not what you are about or what you do, and it is very much what you make of it.
It really is.
If you can go in there with an open mind and an open heart, soul, whatever that is, to really receive, you'll get more from it. Versus having those doubts or jades. Sometimes it does take that leap of faith to make that happen. So are there any challenges that you're seeing right now for not just opening up your business, but perhaps with, misconceptions or anything within the industry?
I don't know. I think the biggest challenge is just getting the word out about what we're doing and a little bit about that misconception about, what side of the tracks are we on in terms of the new age. Well, we don't say new age too much anymore. Wellness, mindfulness. How woo is it? I'm a little woo probably for some people. Not super. I'm open-minded, and we like to welcome people of all faiths.
That's great and amazing. So what are you most excited about right now at Solquest Retreat?
Well, let's see. Well, I would say the next big thing we have coming up, the end of October, I was mentioning here earlier, is we are going to be doing our second Disco in the Desert.
I read something about a disco. I was going to say, what is this disco in the desert? But yeah, go ahead, explain, because I'm kind of excited.
So we actually have the DJ. He's the husband of the family that was here in March, and we did a disco when he was here then, and it was such a good time. We're doing it again. He's flying down October 28th. Put it on your calendar. We're going to be Disco in the Desert at Solquest. We have prizes for best dress, kids, families, couples, date nights, everybody is welcome. The Labyrinth is lit up at night. Like I said, no street lights, so it's dark out there. We've got the stars to walk under the stars and dance and walk the Labyrinth. Huge glow sticks. We'll give the kids glow in the dark beach balls. We have glasses that glow up at night, and we had fondue. We had a photo booth, and we'll do a bunch of those different things. I have been talking to some various vendors, so if there are any vendors that want to come out and offer food or their specialties and be there and available for people to purchase, we're open to that. Just give me a call.
Excellent. And how much would something like that cost for the Disco in the Desert?
We have it, I believe it's $20 per person and $40 for a family.
Okay. And so family can be family of?
Well,
No.
20.
20. Yeah, we're
Let's
family.
make a limit.
No. Yeah, car full 20 or something, how that would
I know
work.
you don't look related. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So what other events do you do? I saw something about some women's events that you do. What are some of those?
I had been doing some women's circles, but due to some health reasons, we're going to be postponing those for a little bit. But like I said, I like to do individual small retreats. Somebody wants some custom events. That's really what I'm going to focus on right now.
Okay.
Individual coaching or experiences of some kind. Open art studio, that's available if somebody wants to come out and work with me.
So what is an open art studio?
So that would be my studio is open.
Okay.
So come and walk in the gallery, see what I'm working on. Maybe you have a project, you're stuck on it. We can sit down at the table and work through that, or I can teach you some new tricks.
Oh, so you, kind of like you teach them how to do some little painting and some techniques.
Yeah, just let me know what you're interested in.
Interesting. And how long do those usually, like the open art, how long are those usually? Like an hour, 2 hours?
I mean, you can come, I wouldn't do anything less than an hour, but typically my studio, when I open it, would be for 3 to 4 hours. And if you come for an afternoon like that, you bring your own lunch and something to drink, and we just spend the afternoon creating and talking. It's a lot of fun.
That sounds like fun, actually. Mm-hmm. So we touched on it. Where is your where is Solquest located?
It's on the edge of Vail and Tucson. So just say Vail.
Vail?
Yeah.
Okay, because you did mention Vail. That's there.
Mm-hmm.
And what is the best way for somebody to, I guess, to check out Solquest?
I would say probably the website, especially if you're not on social media, it's solquestretreat.com. Okay. We're on Facebook, Instagram. You can find me on Nextdoor out in the Vail area. Mm-hmm. I'm Lisa Kindle again, Solquest Retreat. That's where you're going to find me. I'm closing everything else down. Everything's going to be directed through Solquest Retreat.
Excellent. So we've covered quite a bit of everything today, and I do want to make sure that we are covering everything you'd like to. Is there something that we have not covered, either an event, a topic that you'd like to make sure that the listeners know that you do or that you can help them perform? I had a specific question with regards to retreats because you do plan those. Are the retreats always here in Vail? Or are you planning to, groups of retreats together in other locations? What are the plans for the retreats?
My goal is to have the retreats close enough to Tucson where we'd be at one location, because I've held a couple retreats and I really feel for cohesiveness and the most effectiveness for the women that mm-hmm. come is that we can stay at one property. Okay. So I am currently interviewing properties right now, and there are a few that will be revealed soon for some retreats, and let me say fabulous. So there's a lot of different options. I'm talking to ranch owners and some other properties, but I'd like to keep it in the Tucson area. Okay. And yeah, we have one, I'll just give you a little teaser. So in January, we've got a Revive retreat, and we've got a personal chef on tap to fly in. Wow. We've got a photographer coming to do some marketing and fabulous pictures, which is another project which I'm not ready to announce yet. So a lot of really great, juicy surprises, coaches, intuitive coaching, massage, Reiki, all going to be available in this retreat. I mean, it's going to be fabulous. But yeah, so it's not all at Solquest, but we come to Solquest for certain events. We've had dinner in the desert. We walk the Labyrinth. We do a ceremony. Maybe we do the cacao ceremony on our property. It's very private and intimate, and then we go back. But most of the time will be spent at a very nice location.
Excellent. Well, I'm definitely excited and can't wait to hear some of those teasers as well. But yeah, anything else that you'd like to share, Miss Lisa?
No, I think we covered it a lot.
We did. We covered quite a bit. I'm very interested in the life path colors and how to do that. I'm going to have to let my listeners know when I'm coming back. Maybe I'm not green after all. Who knows? We'll figure that one out. But thank you so very much for coming on, Lisa. I learned so much today, and I'm sure my listeners have been teased into hopefully going onto the site and getting with some of those either retreats or some of the services that you offer. That's all for Connecting Tucson with Jaime here at Stewart Title Studios. If you like the show, let us know. You can connect with Lisa by going to www.solquestretreat.com or go to the Tucson Business Channel, a division of Mark Bishop Media, and click on Connecting Tucson with Jaime. That's me. All of the information and her links will be posted. As always, don't be afraid to step out of that comfort zone and make a new connection or create a spark. You never know where it's going to lead, and possibly a new friendship. Until next time, this is Jaime Overturf with Farmers Insurance. Keep on making unique connections, Tucson.